dedicated to Eastern and Southern Kentucky. This is WYMT Mountain News This Morning.
Good morning. It is 6 o'clock on this Tuesday. I'm Will Puckett. Our weather team are a bunch of hardworking individuals, and I can attest because I see it firsthand every single day. And some days you just have a forecast that flat out busts. And that is what you're waking up to this morning, is a busted forecast. Brandon, the snow didn't fall, but it's a 50-50 thing, because while the snow didn't fall, the back half of the forecast is going to pan out because it's going to get frigid.
Exactly, and we still have another system coming through later tonight, going into tomorrow. It's going to drop our temperatures even more. So cold air coming into play, so be careful this morning if you have to be out. If you don't, lots of school closings and delays there at the bottom of your screen, so take that into consideration as well. Let's go to the cameras. Let's start with Pikeville Medical Center. They may be still seeing a few flakes of snow over there this morning. The raindrops on the camera there. Again, some visibility issues and slick roads, so be careful of that. Let's go over to US 119 up on top of Whitesburg Pine Mountain, and we've seen some heavy snow up there at times, and you see it right there between the visibility there and right there on the sides of the road. I don't think it's actually on the road, but again, anything that got water on it overnight will likely freeze today as temperatures continue to drop. You see US 119, US 23 at Jenkins there, looking pretty wet there as well this morning. Winter weather advisory continues through later today, different end times this afternoon. We are also surrounded by a wind chill advisory. I do expect that to be extended into our area as we get deeper into the forecast. There's line pinpoint Doppler radar. A few snow showers drifting through parts of southwest Virginia, southern West Virginia, and parts of Pike County there. But again, most of the snow didn't make it, along with the rain that came right along the frontal boundary. Temperatures continuing to fall, 20s across most of the area. Only a couple 30s left there. Pikeville, Wise, Harlan, Middlesboro, and Jacksboro all in the 30s this morning. When I take a look at the wind chills, you factor those in, feels like the teens and even single digits up to the north. So a little extra on the coffee meter today. It'll be max warming, I guess, for the rest of the week. And as we see there, temperatures fall and then stabilize into the mid-20s by this afternoon. I'll have the rest of the forecast coming up here in just a few minutes. Will?
All righty, Brandon, thank you. Well, millions of people will experience the coldest air in a generation. That's what the National Weather Service warns. The winter weather has already claimed 3 lives in the Midwest, but for much of the country, the worst is yet to come. Mary Maloney has more.
Dangerous and absurdly cold conditions will grip 75% of people living in the continental United States, trapping about 220 million Americans in sub-zero temperatures and making it nearly impossible for many to travel.
Expectations has to be, these are extremely dangerous conditions, and people have to understand that health and safety is our highest priority.
The icy blast is from a breakdown in the polar vortex, which is a circulation of strong upper-level winds that normally surround the North Pole. Typically, the cold, dense air is locked in the Arctic regions, but a change in winds forced the vortex to fracture, shifting south, bringing widespread, bitter, and record-breaking cold to the United States.
You never know if you lose power or anything, so you got to stay stocked up on all your fruits and veggies.
The winter wallop isn't just the deep freeze. Intense snow smothers much of the Midwest.
This could possibly be the 3rd worst storm that we've had since 1990.
Snow will likely extend to the deep south. In Atlanta, home to this year's Super Bowl, forecasters predict the temperatures to plunge Tuesday as the city is expected to get up to 2 inches of snow.
We have a lot of people that are going to be in town this week. We want to keep them safe.
I'm Mary Maloney reporting.
Well, as Brandon has told us multiple times this morning, this is one big weather pattern, and a small EF0 tornado actually in Florida touched down and did quite a bit of damage. The Sunday night storm knocked down trees and sent debris into some streets, making it impossible to drive. Several homes were damaged too, with strong winds ripping off awnings and gutters. Winds also blew over at least one trailer. 163 flights were delayed out of Fort Lauderdale Hollywood International Airport Sunday night, with 5 flights being canceled. No injuries, however, have thankfully been reported. Meanwhile, back home in the Commonwealth, with that cold front moving in and bringing that Arctic air with it, the water in your pipes in your homes are at risk. Officials say pipes could freeze and burst due to temperatures in the single digits and wind chills in the negative values. And while leaving your faucet dripping overnight can help, a well-insulated home with the heat running will also decrease the chance of your pipes bursting.
If you have heat running in the house, normally pipes won't bust inside the insulated walls. Normally the pipes bust inside the walls where insulation isn't sufficient enough to keep the cold out.
Now, officials also say to make sure you turn off your water and wash out the lines if you plan on leaving your home for an extended period of time. Ahead of the cold temperatures, community members in the city of Prestonsburg are hoping to keep people and animals warm. WYMT's Marianne Fletcher explains how.
As temperatures drop, people and animals alike are at risk.
We are not acclimated in this area for 20-degree weather, let alone negative 6-degree wind chill.
From 8 p.m. until 8 a.m., a warming shelter will be available to anyone in Floyd County.
We want people to know, too, it's not just for homeless people, it's for anybody in need.
Deborah Bentley says many members of the community have pitched in to help.
And everybody was like, I can do this, I can do that, I can do this, and people think of things that we never even thought of.
And the local animal shelter is also doing their part by keeping our four-legged friends warm and alive.
If you can't do nothing, bring them in. That's the #1 thing that you can do to protect your animal.
Shelter manager Jackie Brown says the cold temperatures can be deadly, even for bigger, fluffy dogs.
It doesn't matter how big your dog is, they're going to freeze to death if they don't have proper shelter or somewhere where they can get warm.
Jessica Perkins is volunteering her time at the warming shelter. She says she hopes her kids see adults taking action.
My husband and I actually have 3 other kids, and they're older. And so they're like, you know, how can we help? What can we do?
Keeping people and animals warm.
And rally around these people and let them know you have a home.
In Floyd County, Marianne Fletcher, WYMT Mountain News.
Now, you do not need to pass a background check to stay in the warming shelter, but they are taking extra steps to make sure drugs are not brought into the house. If you would like to donate to the warming shelter, we have info on how to do so on our website at WYMT.com. Now, while we are talking about staying safe in the cold, remember frostbite and hypothermia can be very common. When becoming hypothermic, you start to have a difficult time with fine motor skills, thinking, and slowing of processes. Doctors say the elderly are much more prone to cold weather. If you get gloves or socks wet during the cold weather, you need to change them as quickly as you can. Taking a look now at some international news this morning. 3 people are dead and over 170 are injured after a freak tornado hit the Cuban capital of Havana. State media reports the rare twister ripped through several working-class neighborhoods last night. A cold front from the north and winds from the south would create high winds, thunderstorms, and heavy rainfall in the area. This was the first tornado to hit the city since it was founded. And an urgent search for survivors is underway in Brazil after a dam collapsed, buried much of a mining town in a sea of muddy debris. Hundreds of people are still missing, and the death toll is now ticked up to at least 65. Well, back here in Kentucky this morning, for the first time, the State Police Crime Lab is seeing more cases involving methamphetamine than all other drugs combined. The lab gets drug submissions from more than 400 police departments across the Commonwealth. The supervisor of the lab says the meth they see now is so pure they've had to change the way they do testing to protect their instruments. Most of the meth they see now is 90% pure.
Western. It was just Western Kentucky that had methamphetamine. It's really progressed eastward and has taken over the whole state. So I'm not sure why, but it's certainly a trend to note.
Officials say that while cases involving meth are going up, the amount of fentanyl they are testing is going down. Meanwhile, police in Laurel County say 2 businesses were burglarized after someone cut a hole in a wall to get in. Early Sunday morning, police say the Verizon wireless alarm went off, leading them to find a burglar inside of Mattress Overstock and Verizon. Police say the man cut and broke into the store with a crowbar, severely damaged both stores, and then threw the crowbar through a glass door, trying to escape. But nearby police say they caught him red-handed.
And it was just a great response time, and it just happened to work in their favor.
Corey D. Daniels of Atlanta, Georgia, was arrested and charged with both burglaries. Well, officials confirmed 5 police officers were injured in a Houston shooting Monday night. CBS affiliate KHOU reports the officers were serving a drug warrant when the gunfire began. 2 suspects are dead. Neighbors say it was the last thing they ever expected.
I think somebody had a car accident, so then I looked, and then I heard again, pop, pop, pop. I said, that's not a car accident. That sounds like gunshots, and it was like truly loud gunshots.
2 officers were shot in the neck and remain in critical condition this morning. 2 other officers are stable and are expected to make a full recovery. A 5th officer suffered a knee injury during the shootout. He has since been released from the hospital. Still to come this morning, an iPhone glitch lets you hear audio coming from another phone before the person is accepted or rejected the incoming FaceTime call. And later in sports, Kentucky looks for lucky number 7 tonight when they head to Nashville. It's not a top 25 team, but the task remains tall.
Snow is falling across the eastern parts of the region that will likely lead to slick roads across the region this morning as temperatures continue to drop. I'll have your latest forecast in about 2 minutes.